Shalom, shalom, first and foremost. I want to give all the honor, the praise, and the glory belongs to my Lord and Savior. His name is Yahweh by Sham Yahweh Shai by Hashem Mahavakar Kodash. Name of the Heavenly Father is Yahweh. Son's name is Yahweh Shai, in who I reverence and honors. To the apostles that are in the Holy Spirit, to the hopeful elect across the globe, and to the the very, very, very few brothers and sisters listening and also learning in the hopes of being saved within these last days. Please don't get emotional. Please don't get all up in your feelings. Please don't get all offended, right? Because this topic, right, I've spoken it before, and there's people all over the world that speak about the same thing, so you shouldn't really be getting offended, right? What did the scriptures talk about? Right? Being circumspect, right? We went into Peter's before, right? First Peter's 5th chapter, you go on down, it talks about because your adversary as a roaring lion, the devil seeketh whom he may devour. So he seeks for those that he can devour. And this topic is going to be basically on, don't get emotional, don't panic now, on trafficking. Now, there's different forms. There's people that are sincerely need help and they have nowhere else to go and they need someone to. So please don't get it twisted. Don't jump to conclusions. But then there's those that prey upon vulnerability and watch people, I'm talking about for years, the dynamic of this. Now we know it happens everywhere. It happens everywhere. So it's not a ready thing that you can stop because it happens everywhere. So you can't stop it. But we're not going to have that in our kingdom. You ain't going to have no trafficking going on. None. Okay, and there's different levels. Like, remember, there's people in care that have been looked after, and I know because one of my aunties, she's no longer here, but she dealt with the whole care system. She knew it inside out, inside out, like every bit of it, right? So I know a little bit about it. Okay, because my auntie used to bring back children from care homes and look after them. They actually used to live with her, so I know a little bit about what I'm talking about. And I would say, if you're dealing with this type of thing, be circumspect, pray to the Lord, and he's going to look after you. But the reason I'm doing this lesson, because it's more so also for so-called targeted individuals. The dynamic of it is more serious for them, because remember, they're being targeted by energy weapons, and therefore, when they target you with these weapons, what do they target? They target organs. It's all going to come together. Let's go to Ephesians 5, right? I always say what one man won't do, another woman will do. And this is common. It happens everywhere, but it's mostly common in Nigeria. Look at that last case with that wealthy politician, right? That 2023 case, right? For organs, they wanted someone's organs. I believe it was a wealthy politician in Nigeria. Right? So this is a real thing. And if you see particular things, particular signs, and particular cars pulling up in certain places, that's a red light. If you're being like stalked where cars are pulling out, quickly pulling out, that's a red light. Go to Ephesians 5. Bro, this ain't a joke, man. You better scatter your ass somewhere else. You know what I'm saying? I'm not for sale. Let's go to Ephesians 5. Neither are my organs for sale. Let's go to Ephesians 5. And we're going to jump straight to, because I wasn't going to do this lesson. I don't really like doing lessons in this particular building because you got nosy people in here, but I thought, you know what, just do it. Ephesians 5. And we're going to jump to, because people, they try to insult your intelligence. Like you don't know what's going on. Let's go to Ephesians 5. And where should we start? 15. See then that you walk circumspectly. So when you're walking circumspectly, full circle, spectly. So you have to look, right? What's going on? Not as fools, but as wise. So when you see cars pulling up, you're looking at the window, cars pulling up, pulling out. As soon as you enter into the house, bro, that's a red light, bro. And especially if you see Nigerians, well, all types of people do it, but especially if you see Nigerians doing it, right? And when is someone most likely to be so-called trafficked? Trafficking is just people being moved around, right? That's all it is. But there's levels to it. So don't come after my ass. Okay. But there's levels to it. Now, this is what I'm talking about. I'm talking about example now. This thing is very real because it's big money business. And example, say if someone's old or they're young and they might have a missing kidney, or they may need a kidney or a transplant or something like that. A lot of people get involved. You have doctors, you have psychiatrists, all these type of people within the medical fields. It's happened so many times, right? Where a doctor sees something. Oh, that's a nice juicy liver he's got there, right? I've listen. These things go on under the table, all right? And don't act like it don't. Okay, that's why awareness is the most important thing. And yeah, if you think this is happening, you take pictures and you report it. Me, bro, I got in contact, bro. I got two good lawyers, one solicitor. So any given time, if I think something's going on, just give them a ring. All right. But anyway, Baba Kishar, someone may want a kidney transplant, a knee transplant. These things are real. Okay. And it says kidneys improve lives for an average of 12 to 15 years. Bro, this is it's big business. Okay. So just be aware. Because we're not ignorant to Satan's devices. It says that in Corinthians, right? For we are not ignorant of his devices. The reason why I'm doing this lesson, all right, is because I've seen videos on people talk about directed energy and directed lights. So why would they be using that upon you? And why would they be targeting certain regions of your body? Another reason they could be doing it, because they could be trying to discredit you and say, hold on a minute, this guy, he's useless, right? Well, yeah, if you do know if you have a kidney or liver missing, you're not able to work. So then you would be rendered. That's why I say you have to watch, be circumspect to what's going on. And don't isolate yourself too much. You think the people haven't, bro? These people, they're experts on what they do because they've done it before. They've done it to many people, man. They've seen the signs of vulnerability. They've seen the signs of, say, if you've got a family and you have one child in the family, he ain't really speaking to the family. They've seen that, right? They've got this technology as well where they're able to see. Fuck out of here with that stuff, man. Maybe just a minute. And if you're suffering, this is one of the signs. If you're suffering from chronic cardio, like example, you're fit, right? You're already fit. You know you're fit, but you're suffering from chronic or any type of cardio type of issue. You know something's wrong, right? You just hear that demonic cough, right? Don't worry about that. Respiratory problems. You shouldn't, if you're a young, healthy man, your diet's good, you shouldn't be suffering from respiratory problems unless someone's using something against you. Unless someone is using some type of energy weapon against you. Burns. If you see any burns on your face, any type of burns on your face, bro, start making some phone calls. Chronic pain. And chronic pain can come through stress. What else? Weight changes. Sadness, pelvis pain, and if your piss, I gotta say this, if your piss is coming out frothy, that's a sign of liver damage. I want to say it again, if your piss is coming out frothy and you're drinking a lot of water, that's signs of liver damage. So you're drinking a lot of water. If your piss is coming out frothy, that's because someone is directing something towards your organs. Bro, this is real. It's real. Okay, it's real. This is what some people do. They can either do it to discredit you or to have someone look after you. This way you got to be very aware, right? Very aware. And by the way, I've done my studies on it and all that. You're not able to do that. The whole organ thing, donation, you have to have the recipient must agree first and say, yeah, I donate. Okay? You can't just do it like Yeah, under the table. Because you know what that's called? It's called organized crime. Anyways, we're gonna let some scriptures come out, then we go into more Baba Kashala. Go to Psalms 27 and 10. But listen, if you're a brother in this truth, you're gonna be looked after, man. You're gonna be alright. But I know how people operate. Go to Psalms 27 and 10. Right? Check this out. When my father and my mother forsake me, then shall the Lord take me up. In other words, he will take you in. He will guide you. He will set you with those that are of the brotherhood. Right? Read that again. When my father or mother forsake me, then will the Lord take me up. You see how powerful these scriptures are. But there's people that watch, I'm telling you, there's people that watch families and the dynamics of the families, and they prey upon the individual within the family that they may think doesn't have any support system. See, this is where you got to pay attention, man. If you see signs, someone trying to cut support systems off, everything you do, that's a sign of trafficking. I'm talking about support systems. And they know you're well and able bodied. Like, no, listen. I'm competent, I'm well and able bodies, and I can do things. Now, one may say, well, if that's the case, why are you in a hostel? Because of the position, because of a certain circumstance I was in. That's why. But that doesn't mean I'm not able-bodied, because you have grown-ass men that are 50, 40 years old that are homeless as well. So it doesn't mean you're not competent, you can't do things. It's just we're living in a time where it's difficulties, man. And I'm not one to make excuses. Sometimes I just need that little push. And once I have that little, I'm good to go. Right? Don't get it twisted, man. So I'm looking at certain things now, certain things that are happening, certain cars that be following me. I'm like, yeah, what's going on here? You quickly get here, a car pulls out. Bro, you better flee in the spirit and power of Yahweh Shem Yahushua. You better flee. Because that ain't going to work over here, man. And whoever you're telling to use these energy weapons, you better tell them to stop. Think you're fucking playing that. Right? Then when something happens, oh, well, what happened? Oh, well, it's designed so no one believes you. That's why they have to remove all support systems. And I want to speak on something as well. I mentioned this already. This was about 5-6 months, probably longer than 6-7 months ago, probably 8 months. Yeah, sometimes I do visit my mother's. I like to, bro, what's wrong with that, bro? Most of you visit your family, right? If you have family. Visiting my mother's. And yeah, I noticed certain things that were going on. And this is upstairs above her. And yeah, there was a so-called Nigerian family. And every time I would go in there, I would notice certain things. They would come in. When I would come in, they would go out. When I would go out, they would come in. So I noticed certain things. And they were having arguments. They were doing all types of madness, right? And one of the guys came out. And I'll never forget, he said to me, my mother got me something, right? And he said, what did he say? He made a gesture. He said something, right? I think it was Happy Christmas or something like that. But the guy knew I had the jacket. So don't get it twisted. There's people that have sophisticated, not really sophisticated, they have technology where they're able to watch you or your family and the dynamic within your family. And, well, how should I put this? They see if you're like a black sheep. Because if you're a black sheep, if you isolate yourself, then this is more likely to happen to you. Now, if you have a strong support system, then these things don't really happen to you because you have a support system. Don't be fooled, man. The devil works in many, 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 many ways, right? Don't fool me with that rubbish. And why have you got another thing? Why have you got directed energy lights, right? With cameras upon it where you can look into people's homes. The fuck are you doing, man? That's against the law. Now, if I was to do that, guess what? They'd be on to me if I was to start doing that. Right? It's madness. Bear me just a minute. So now we're gonna go to Some more on this, Baba Kashar. I'm not for sale. Human trafficking is one when money is brought and moved around. Now, to be honest with you, when we were all young, bro, we were all moved around. So there's, like I said, there's levels to it, right? Someone needs to do the moving around. You know what I'm saying? But I'm talking about it in the state of one being, what's the word? Being moved around against their own will. You know what I'm saying? Where they have no trace, right? And it says Baba Kashar, and the only way that can happen to someone is if they don't have a support system or if they don't have anyone. This is what I always say: stay in touch with your family members, speak to your mother, speak to your father, and be aware of what's happening, because they would try to. There's people that would try to manipulate people around you as well to try to keep you isolated. Oh yeah, by the way, that I was talking about my mother and that Nigerian family. That couple had to move out. That couple, they moved out, but they were plotting something, bro. Wanna be smart asses. Wanna be smart asses, man. Bear me just a minute. And it says Baba Kashas, science is dissociation. So science that this is happening is dissociation from the world around them. So when you start to disassociate from the world around you, this is where you're easy prey. But the scriptures also say, you know what? Love not the world, neither the things that are in the world were separate. So you have to have a balance within this, but you don't want to separate yourself to the point where you just looking bad. That's why I love to go out there and talk to people. That's what they're trying to do. They're trying to have it where nobody talks to you, because then you're vulnerable, man. Don't let them do that, man. Right? Because someone tried to do that to me. I was speaking to someone, right? And another Nigerian man tried to come up and cut. They tried to do that, cut you off from talking to someone. You have to see the signs. Now, I'm not saying that's happening to me, but you have to be aware of certain signs and certain things that are happening. All right? If you go to a spot, right? You go to that spot, then a certain car pulls up, then it pulls off. You have to be aware of them things, because that means you're being watched, you're being stalked. You change your routes. You change your routines. And the reason why this happens is because you're too flipping predictable. And it says, Baba Kasharam, the second mental health disorder. And that's another thing as well. Yeah, they did try that with me. They tried that shit with me, but it didn't quite work, because I'm always in the scriptures, man. You have to guard your mind. Mental health disorders. And if you have a mental health disorder, guess what? You can be sectioned off. That's if there's anything wrong with you. If there is anything wrong with you, you can be sectioned off. Now, guess what? Another way a handler has power over you is if you're mentally ill. See, now do you see the signs? Some people just want control. And what they call it, PTSD, which is, post-traumatic stress disorder. I think we all have that. I definitely have that with all this stress, man. What else? Extreme reaction to people. You got to be careful about that. Exploit. So this is what they exploit. And there's an order. What's the order called? Hold on just a minute. The order's A330, right? For victims of this. And you're eligible for any compensation. And there is phone lines for this as well. So no, you're not alone. And that's why I always say, make sure you have a body of men around you that you're communicating with, that you're speaking with. Don't isolate yourself. All right? Don't isolate yourself, because there's predators out here. And one may say, well, did the scriptures, do they talk against this? Yeah, it does talk against this stuff, because guess who is a quitter of the poor, and who protects the poor and the desolate and the widows? The Messiah. Yeah, how about let's go to Isaiah 61. I want to shut off soon because I want to do some cooking. I find it very therapeutic. Let's go to Isaiah 61. All right. And it says Baba Kashar. Like, even with listen, I don't want to go too much into detail, but just certain things that I've seen. Man. Certain things. Go to Isaiah 61. Right? They try to get you all alone, bruh. But guess what? I have Yahweh on my side. Let's go to Isaiah 61. The Spirit of the Lord is Yahweh is upon me, because the Lord have anointed me to preach good tidings unto the meek. He have sent me to bind up the brokenhearted and proclaim liberty to the captives, say captives, and open the prison to them that are bound. So the Lord's able to do that, deliver you from that rubbish. And if you're doing that, just stop now. Right? Whoever hired you or paid you, because you're just gonna lose your fucking job anyway. So if you're trying to do that, just stop. But a lot of the time it goes into there's different scenarios that come. I can't speak on every single scenario because it varies. Example. There's another example. I've noticed the markings, right? It's called a branding scar. If you see branding scars, that's a sign of property. And that's very ritualistic. You see it quite a lot, right? Branding scars. Right? It happens. Yeah, you see it in Jamaica, you see it in West Africa, you see it all across the world, branding scars, right? Well, that's signs of that particular thing. Trauma, so forth. Okay. Talk to someone. If you're going for it, talk to someone. And if you even want to go even further, you can even hire a private investigator. Oh yeah, I got the number. If you want the number, I got the number. Right? You can even hire a private investigator for a day, for a week. It's not much. It don't cost much. Right? 20, 25 pounds, 50 for a week. Right? So whoever's following you, he can investigate not just you, them as well. Right? Because this is outrageous. This is why I always say, don't isolate yourself too much. Okay? And yeah, keep a camera with you as well. And keep notes. Mark certain things as well. Not all the time. Don't be paranoid. But mark certain things. Like when certain people, if you come in and you notice a pattern, people come in when you come in, mark that down. Mark that down. Mark what times, everything. And sometimes it's just nothing more than a monitoring spirit. So sometimes it just might just be a monitoring spirit. And we know that because Paul dealt with that in Acts 16 and 16. Right? That woman that had the spirit of divination. Well, actually, she wasn't a woman. She was a young slave girl. Key thing. See? Young slave girl. It's talked about damsel, right? So she was a slave. She was probably, yeah, she was trafficked. Because it said young slave girl. She was a diviner. Right? And that's another reason for that, because you might be a young, talented individual, right? With spiritual ability. But some people use that spiritual ability for the left-hand side to do evil. Okay, so people might want you for your gift. You know what I'm saying? Like, there's many dynamics to it. Many dynamics, but I'm not against anyone that's in the social care work, because, like I said, I had an auntie that was in social care work, and bro, a lot of them do a good job, but you always have your bad bunch. Right? I really have utmost respect for people that work in the care system, because I know it's not an easy task, man. So I'm not knocking anyone in the care system or anyone in the psychiatry system or nothing like that, but you're always going to have your bad, corrupt bunch that do evil stuff and so forth. So where was I? That's pretty much, I got the scriptures on that, and this was just a lesson so you could just be aware. That's why the scriptures, be circumspect. Right? Be circumspect. And one may say, well, you might think a trafficker, you might be getting beamed with some, I don't know, radiation, because the reason why they do that as well is to mess up your organs. So if you suspect that it's happening, you can hire a private investigator. I've heard people talk about go to the police. Me personally, I wouldn't do that. You could. I wouldn't do that, because the police could be involved, and sometimes even with certain doctors, they could be involved as well. Remember, it's money under the table, so it depends, innit, the situation. But the reason I'm doing this just so you could be aware and circumspect of your environment and people around you, just so you don't get picked apart. But the most important thing is prayer, right? So Lord willing, this was edifying, and until the next time, Shalom.